I wish now to introduce the lesson 37 in Ross, the doubly weak verbs. Verbs that have two weak letters, usually the first letter of the root and the last letter of the root, call for some special attention. In most cases, two of the root letters are present, and there are enough signs to enable parsing and root recognition. But in some forms, only one root letter remains, and these need to be learned separately. First of all, first guttural and third hey verbs. Several common verbs are both first guttural and third heys. Among them would be Allah, to go up or to ascend, and asa, to do, and ana, to answer. And so he gives you the paradigm of these verbs. Now, just looking at it, all the problems of the third hey and originally third yod are going to be there. And then also the problems of the first gutturals, where if you try to put a shava under that position, it's going to want a hataf patah. And so if you look at Allah and third feminine singular, you get the ta, which is common with the third hey. You get the yods, which is the actual original root that shows up in many of the forms in the perfect of the third hey verbs. The yod and the hey both disappear in the third common plural. In the second masculine plural, you get a hataf patah under the ayin in addition to the yod. So it's behaving as one would expect, both with the first position with the ayin and the second position with the hey. And in most cases, the two don't really interact with each other. They just both behave that way. When you come to the imperfects, you'll get the hataf patah under the guttural in most of the forms, or in the first common singular, a hataf sagol. When you come to the preterite form, the hey will go away, and what's left will be treated as if it were a sigilate noun. So you get vaya'al, and he went up. And the other forms are similar. The jussive form looks like the preterite form. The coordinative will not have a kamatz hey, but will have a sagol hey. And the imperative hataf patah, where you normally get a shava under the ayin and a sere for the masculine singular form. The other forms of hey will go away. And with the participle, you get this ole being the participial form. The sagol hey is common with the third hey forms. The infinitive construct, as again is normal with the infinitive constructs of third heys, will have the ot ending, but then you also get the hataf patah because of the guttural in the first position. Now, first aleph and third hey verbs like ava or afa may have a prefix holum in the imperfect. So you get yoveh for ava. It is also possible to have a guttural in the second position of the root and a hey in the third position, as in ra'ah, to shepherd. And the imperfect of that is regular for a third hey, which is yir'eh. But then when you make it a imperfect, you end up with when you make it jussive, it becomes yerah, let him shepherd, getting a patah here because the guttural likes the a vowel. Moving on to the hiphil. using Allah as our paradigm, the third masculine singular hifial perfect is hehelah. Kamat's hey because of the third hey, and the hataf sagol and the sagol because of the first guttural. The imperfect will be ya'aleh, ya'aleh. Now ya'aleh actually presents a problem. You started off with an a vowel, a patah under the yod, and then you try to put a shavah under the ayin, and it ends up being a hataf patah. But if you go back to the imperfect of the cow, it also ends up being ya'aleh. It got there from a different way. You would have started off with a hirik under the preformative, so it should have been yi-leh. But then when you tried to put a shavah under the ayin, it cried out for a little more vowel, and because this ayin it likes a vowel, so it ends up with a hataf patah, and then by harmonization, the hirik changes to a patah, so you end up with ya'aleh. But then the hifial form started off with the a vowel, and then you end up with the hataf patah. The bottom line is that they're the same form. So you can't tell from form whether it is he will go up, cow, or he will cause someone or something to go up. You'll have to just depend on context. And then with the vav consecutive, you get ya'al. And that ya'al also, as it turns out, is identical to the vav consecutive of the cow. So you can't tell the difference between and he or it went up and he or it caused something or someone to go up. The jussive ya'al is also the same as the jussive in the cow. So you're with this first guttural and third haze, you're getting a lot of forms that are going to be identical. The coordinative in the hifial is ya'aleh, whereas the coordinative in the cow is ya'aleh. Of course, the Masoretes put in the vocalization, and if they thought it was a cow, they vocalized it sagol, sagol, hataf sagol. Whereas if they thought it was a hifial, they vocalized it patah, the patah of the hifial, and the hataf patah for the coordinative is the form I should be talking about. So that does look a little bit different, but the consonants are all the same. The imperative, there would be a difference. You get two forms, either ha'aleh or shortened form ha'al. The participle is ma'aleh. Infinitive construct will have the ot ending, ha'alot, and the infinitive absolute is ha'aleh. And so when the final hey of ya'aleh is apocryphated, the resulting form ya'a changes to ya'al, the guttural taking the patah rather than the compound shavah. And again, here's a review of the forms that are identical. Ya'aleh, he will go up, and ya'aleh, he will bring up, he will cause to go up. And then vaya'al can either mean and he went up and he caused to go up, or he brought up. And then ya'al jussive, let him go up, and ya'al, let him cause to go up, let him bring up. .3 is going to bring up two very common words, haya, which has to do with being, to be, and haya with a het, meaning to live. And it tends to follow its own pattern to some degree. In a sense, this is triply weak because you have a first guttural, a middle vav or yod, and a third hey. So he just gives you the paradigm of how it works. So he was is haya, and then she was is hayata, and you get the same thing with haya, though there is a shorter form hai that sometimes occurs for the third masculine singular. And then hayita, these are pretty much what you would expect given the third hey form there. Only place that comes into play, second masculine plural, when you try to put a shava under the hey, you'll often get a hataf sagol, heyitem, although there is a form where it just goes ahead and takes the shava. As we move on down to the imperfect, the third masculine singular of he will be is yihiye. Now, this is related to the word Yahweh, the divine name, although it would have a vav. In Aramaic, the verb to be is hawa with a wow or vav rather than haya. And in an earlier stage of Hebrew, it probably was too, which is where this form, well, if you end up with a hataf patah under the hey, then you end up with something like Yahweh or Yahweh. If you had Hawa as your form, and it would mean he is or he will be. But anyway, these forms in modern Hebrew, they tend to give a little bit of vocalization to the shava under the hey, and I tend to do that too. Yihiye, tihiye, on down the list, and again, that's not all that problematic. And where you have some of the endings, the hey goes away. The vav consecutive form is vayahi, or with to live, vayahi. And notice that by the Skeman-Levy rule, you lose your gemination in the yod since it is followed by a vocal shava. With the yod being one of the Skeman-Levy letters. Yahi is also the jussive form, let there be, as in Yahi or let there be light in Genesis 1. The imperative, you have a form with a hataf sagol and one with just a regular shava. And then infinitive absolute has the ot ending in both hayot, to be, and hayot, to live. And the infinitive absolute, there's the ayo, and ayo either written defectively or plane. Where you have the holem vav, you don't get the hey. Where you have the hey, you don't get the vav. And so that is the doubly weak letter word haya. I think we'll move on to the next video and do the first noon and third hey verbs.